Hey everybody, welcome to Mr. Moon Designs. My name's Louisa. I'm so glad you could join me today. We're going to be doing a mini unboxing. We're going to be opening up Sam's Speed Box for the month of May. And then after we take a look at the contents, we're going to jump right into a project. Now, if you're not familiar with Sam's Speed Box, I'll leave some information down below along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. And don't forget that I always model my jewelry at the end of my tutorials, so please stick around for that. As you can see, this very unique boho style necklace features a gorgeous Czech glass flower bead pendant, along with some dangles and various gemstones and faceted beads along the strands. I'm also going to show you how to make those dangles, and we're going to be making a matching pair of earrings. So if you like boho and you like one-of-a-kind pieces, you're going to love today's tutorial. Whether you're advanced or a beginner, hopefully you'll learn some new techniques and tips. So grab your beads and your tools, and let's get started. And here we have Sam's Speed Box for the month of May 2025. As you can see, the name of the box is Spa Day. For those of you who are not familiar with Sam's Speed Box, it is a subscription box and it goes for $49 a month plus shipping, and it usually contains lots of Czech glass beads, gemstones, and some metal components as well. The retail value is usually well over $80, so you get quite a good deal. And I absolutely love that they put the name of the box and the month right on the label. So if you're using these as storage, you don't have to open up the box. You can just look on the label and see which one it is, which is what I usually do. For example, if I'm looking for a particular gemstone or a particular color, it's just really handy to have the name of the box right on the label. So let's go ahead and open it up. And here's the insert. On this side, it gives you a little description of what's in the box. And on this side is a list of all the contents. And as you can see, the retail value is $83, and on the left is the retail value of each item. And here's my delicious candy. And these are definitely very pretty colors. Very, very soothing, I must say. I'm seeing blues, purples, some coppers as well. Let me pull them out and I'll arrange it on my table. And here are all the strands. What a beautiful soft palette this is. It's definitely very soothing. But I'm a little bit partial because I love purples and I love amethysts. And another one of my favorite colors is this kind of blue. It's almost like a periwinkle blue. But anyway, like I said, we're not going to do an in-depth review of this box. We're just going to take a quick peek. Hopefully my camera will focus a little bit better this time. In my last video, I had a viewer comment that my focus was off the entire time, which I find hard to believe because I felt the focus was okay for most of the video. Just once in a while, if I'm doing close-ups, it does have a tendency to go out of focus. But guys, if you're going to make a comment like that, saying that it's out of focus the entire time, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. It would be more helpful for you to specify exactly at what point my camera goes out of focus. In any case, I do appreciate comments, and I try to make adjustments if I can. And you may not know this, but a lot of the shots that I make are actually repeats. In other words, I may shoot a scene and then have to redo it because something's off. Either the focus is off or the lighting is off. So that's why I get so frustrated when I get comments about anything related to the quality of my videos. I do the filming, the video editing, everything myself, and I don't get paid for it. So it's a little disappointing after all that to get a comment about focus, especially if it's an exaggerated statement. But anyway, that's enough of that. I don't want to keep going on about it. I'll do my best this time. So let's take a look at this one here. This one is so pretty. These are called Amethyst Art Deco cut beads, and they're grade A, and they measure 5.5 by 6.5 millimeters. And here we have a strand of fire polished beads in the color Amethyst Lilac, and these are called rose crown beads. I've never seen a bead like this. It's so beautiful. Look at the gorgeous faceting, and they do have like a rose design on the ends. And these measure 8 millimeters in size. And these are super tiny beads. These are faceted round amethyst beads, and they measure 3.5 millimeters. Here we have a strand of Czech glass kiwi oval beads. The color is light purple opal with a copper wash, and these measure 10.5 by 13.5 millimeters. And here we have a strand of fire polished barrel beads. These are also Czech glass beads, and by the way, all of the beads in Sam's Speed boxes are Czech glass beads, usually. But anyway, the color of these is purple opal, and these measure 4.5 by 7 millimeters. Here's a stunning strand of cultured freshwater rice pearls. They're grade B and they measure 6.5 by 7 to 10 millimeters in length. And here we have a strand of 5 polished rounds. The color is satin copper and these measure 6 millimeters in size. These are called fancy facet squares. They're fire polished. The color is light sapphire and they measure 9 millimeters across. And here we have a strand of blue lace agate beads. They're smooth rounds, grade A, and they measure 6 millimeters across. Here we have a very sparkly strand of 5 polished rondelles. The color is light sapphire, and these measure 6 by 8 millimeters. Here's a strand of Czech glass drops. The color is purple bronze luster, and these measure 4 by 5.5 millimeters. And here we have a strand of 5 polished coin beads. There are 2 colors here, purple and blue luster mix, and these measure 8 millimeters across. I love the faceting on the sides and then the flat surface on the top and bottom. And here we have a strand of hematite cube beads. They're copper plated and they're synthetic, and these measure 3 millimeters across. Aren't they darling? I love this size. So these are the strands. Let me get the rest of the items. Here are the rest of the items. As you can see, we have some focal beads, a pendant, these lovely chips. I don't think I've seen chips like that before. Some loose beads and these metal components. I love these coin beads. I love those 2 colors together. Now I don't know if I'd actually use both colors in one design, but I do love that color combination. Let me slide them onto my rod so you can see how they're drilled. They're called lotus coin beads in 2 colors, lilac and blue opal with a bronze wash, and they measure 14 millimeters across. And here we have a very pretty Tablecut garland flower bead. The color is listed as blue silk mixed purple with a bronze wash, and it measures 20 millimeters across. And here we have a lovely crystal quartz teardrop pendant, grade A. It measures 17 by 39 millimeters, and it is drilled at the top from front to back. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it is drilled. I love that portions of it is transparent. It's so pretty. And here I have a few of the blue lace agate top drill chips. They measure anywhere between 8 and 15 millimeters. The width of them does vary, and so does the length, but not as much. Look how unique these are. They're so unique. So if you want to give your piece an organic look, these would be perfect for that. And here I have a few of the duck rounds. They're super tiny, as you can see. They measure 3 millimeters across, and the color of these is milky blue opal. Hopefully the camera's focusing because I know they're kind of small. These are called diamond Brios, and the color is milky blue opal, and they kind of look like they're glowing a little bit. It's a really pretty shade of blue. But anyway, these measure 12 by 13 millimeters. I only have 5 of them here, but there's actually more. There's a total of 10. And these are slightly transparent. And here we have 2 lotus flower charms. These measure 19 by 22 millimeters. They're antique copper, as you can see. They're very high quality, made in Greece, and they're lead free. This is the front. Let me show you the back. It's a little bit different in the back and concave, as you can see. Of course, you could use these either as earrings or use one of them as a pendant. Either way would work. And they measure 19 by 22 millimeters if you include the loop. And finally, we have these very interesting charms. They're listed as charms, but they're big enough to be pendants. And of course, hoop earrings, if you wanted to do that. They're listed as open hoop charms, and they measure 27 by 29 millimeters. Each one looks like it's flattened at the top with a loop through each end. And they're the same on both sides. Very cool. So these are the contents of the May box. I hope you liked seeing this mini unboxing. If you want to see a full unboxing with commentary, I recommend that you go to Sam Speed Shop's YouTube channel. They usually do a very detailed unboxing as well as a project. And I'll go ahead and list that YouTube channel down below. So now that we've taken a quick look at the contents, let's go ahead and jump into today's project. We're going to start by assembling the pendant, and these are some of the materials we're going to be using. These are all from the box, but I'm also going to use some chains, some jump rings, ball head pins, and some craft wire as well from my own stash. But anyways, you can see I have the Tablecut Garland bead. It measures 20 millimeters across, and I think it's 4 millimeters thick. I also have the diamond Brios in that gorgeous blue color. They measure 12 by 13 millimeters. And I know I've already gone over the sizes, but in case you skipped forward, I wanted to mention the sizes again real quick. And in this tray, I have the duck rounds and some barrel beads. The barrel beads are fire polished, and the color is purple opal, and they measure 4.5 by 7 millimeters. And the duck rounds are very small. They're 3 millimeters across in the color milky blue opal, just like these diamond Brios. And of course, I have this beautiful horseshoe-shaped component. It's listed as an open hoop charm, and it measures 27 by 29 millimeters. So obviously this will be the frame for the pendant. And let me show you what I had in mind. I was thinking about having this flower bead right here in the middle, hanging from a beaded component of some sort at the top, and then down below I'm going to have some dangles. So let's go ahead and prepare the garland flower bead first. I have a ball head pen. I'm going to slide the bead onto the ball head pen like this. And now one of these blue struck beads. If I can grab it, there we go. So that's what we have so far. Using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead like this. And now I'm going to bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And now I'm going to grab this loop with these pliers. These are actually crimping pliers, but I like using them for this purpose because they grab really well and they have very skinny tips. And with these pliers, I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Using my flush cutters, I'm going to snip off the excess pin. And of course, you need to tuck in the little tail if you see one. So this part is done. Let me just fix my camera. For some reason, it's wanting to tilt. That's better. And I just noticed one of my 3 overhead lights is turned off. So let me turn it on. There we go. I tell you what, guys, it's not easy filming tutorials. If you've never tried it, you really should. So anyway, one of the other things we're going to use for the pendant are some of these closed rings. These measure 6mm across. Now, if you don't have them, you can always use jump rings. That would work as well. People always ask me where I get my products. I think I got these on Etsy, but I'm pretty sure you can find them on Amazon. You just have to type in closed rings for jewelry making and you should get some results. And for some of the dangles, we're going to use some craft wire. This one is 22 gauge and it's in an antique copper color. Let me just cut off a piece. This piece measures about 3.5 inches. So let me show you how we're going to prepare the brios. I'm going to slide a brio bead onto my wire like this, and I'm going pretty much all the way to the middle of it. I'm going to bend my wire upward, and you want to cross it at the top. Like this. And now I'm going to take this wire and bend it up like that, and this one actually down a little bit. I'm going to grab the wire right by the intersection like this, grab this one, and I'm going to create a couple of wraps. I'm going to cut off the excess. Tuck in that little end. You don't want anything sharp sticking out. And now I'm going to bend this piece back, cut off the excess, leaving about, I would say 3/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. Using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end and form a loop. Just like that. So that's what we have so far. And I'm actually going to do that 3 times total. So I need to do 2 more, and I'll do those off camera to save time. Now the next step is to create a beaded component that I'll be attaching to that loop. So I have another piece of wire. I'm going to grab it about 1/3 of the way down, maybe a little bit more. Bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. So now I have a loop. I'm going to grab the loop with these pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess wire. Tuck in that little tail. And by the way, this is 22 gauge wire, just like I used on the Brios. And now I'm going to slide on one of these beads and a barrel bead, like so. I'm going to grab the wire at the top of the bead, like this. Let me turn that bottom loop, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to open up this loop a little bit, and let me get my chain. I'm going to be attaching some chain to that loop. I'm going to be using some dainty chain, and I don't remember how big these links are, but they're pretty small. I think they might be 2 by 2, something like that, or maybe 1.5 by 1.5. I'm not going to take it off the spool just yet. I'm just going to lay it down, and now let me go ahead and slide the chain into this loop, like this. Grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Let me line up my loop since I'm here. Cut off the excess wire. Tuck in that little tail. And now I want about, I would say 3/4 of an inch worth of chain. So let me take a look. So I'm going to snip it off at about here. It doesn't have to be precise. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my cutters because this is very small chain. And these are soldered links. So that's what we have so far. And now I'm going to open up the loop of this component. Slide this one into it and close it up. So now we have a dangle completed. And like I said, I'm going to create 2 more just like this one, but the other 2 are going to be a little bit shorter. And I'll show you after I get done. I'm going to do it off camera. Now, in order for me to attach the dangle to the component, I'm going to use one of these closed rings. And I'll be using very tiny jump rings. This one measures about 3 millimeters across. Let me go ahead and open it up. And I think I had too much caffeine this morning. I had about 4 cups. Which is why I'm shaking a little bit. I apologize for that. I'm going to slide the last link of the chain into my jump ring, like so. And now one of these rings. Let me close it up. So now this one's ready to be slid onto the component like this. And that's how it's going to hang. Isn't that cute? I love it. And you can make these as long as you want to. It doesn't have to be that long. It's completely up to you. And now I'm going to create a different kind of dangle. So we're going to have 2 types of dangles. We're going to have the ones with a chain, and then we're going to have another kind without chain. I'm going to use a ball head pin for this one. And I'm going to slide on one of these drucks, a barrel bead, and another druck. Like so. Once again, I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to open up this loop, slide one of my rings into it, like this, grab the loop, grab that tail, and create a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess pin. Tuck in the little end. So here's another little dangle. And let me show you how I'm going to hang it onto this horseshoe component. I'm going to add another ring to space it out a little bit. And then this one here. And another ring. So basically, this is what it's going to look like. Now you can add more rings if you want more space in between the dangles. It's up to you. But anyway, these are the two types of dangles I'm going to make. And like I said, I'm going to do it off camera to save time. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And as you can see, I created all my dangles. I have everything lined up, including the rings. And like I mentioned before, these two are a little bit shorter than the center one. I believe I only used 2 chain links at the top, as well as the 3mm jump ring to attach it to the ring. But it's all personal preference, guys. It all depends on how long you want your dangles to be. Now there is something that I need to talk to you about, and that is the orientation of these brios. When you create your dangles, you want to make sure the brios are sitting properly, because once you hang them onto the component, you want them to be facing the front. You don't want them sideways. And that's to do with the orientation of these loops. Let me just pick one up and show you. Let me just see if I can show you what I'm talking about. It's a little difficult to explain, but if you'll notice, this jump ring is parallel to my mat, and then the link has one that's vertical and one that's parallel. Then this component has a loop that's vertical or perpendicular to the mat, whereas this one here, the second loop, is parallel or horizontal, which means that the loop on the brio is vertical. So what I had to do is to change the loop of this one here. So one is vertical and the other one is horizontal. So they're perpendicular to each other. I hope that makes sense. It's a little difficult to understand if you're new, but that's a very important thing to do because, like I said, you want these brios to be facing the front. So now let me go ahead and slide them onto my horseshoe component in this order. And you'll have to excuse that noise. I think my landscapers, not mine, but my neighbor's landscapers have shown up. So you may hear a little noise in the background. So there they are. Another thing I wanted to point out, these 2 dangles on the ends only have 1 druck bead at the bottom, as you can see. Whereas these ones in the center have 2, one at the top and one at the bottom. But anyway, I think it looks really cute. I really like it. And like I said earlier, you can space these out even more by adding more rings or jump rings. So now we're going to attach this piece to the top, and that's going to be a little bit more challenging. This time I'm going to use 20 gauge wire, which is a little bit stronger. It's the same color, antique copper. And here I have a 2-inch piece. I'm going to bend it at 3/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. Using my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end and I'm going to create a loop. Just like that. Let me just straighten it out a little bit. And now I'm going to slide on some of these druck beads. I think I'm going to slide on 2. And these holes are kind of small, so you wouldn't want to use anything thicker than 20 gauge. And now this pendant, like that, and another 2. So that's what we have so far. I'm going to go ahead and bend my wire like so. Cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end with my round nose pliers and form a loop. And I do want to line up my loops, making sure that they face in the same direction, which I think they do. So that part's done. We don't need this one or this one. To attach it to the component, I'm going to use some jump rings. Here I have 2 6mm jump rings and 2 3mm jump rings. Let me open up one of the small ones. These are actually really good jump rings because the cuts are very clean. I can barely see them. And I'm going to go ahead and slide the component into the jump ring. Let me close it up. And now let me open up this one. So now we have those 2 little jump rings attached. And I'm not sure where this little guy came from, but we don't need him. He must have been hiding underneath the dangles. So now comes the difficult part. I'm going to open up one of these larger jump rings. This first one's actually very easy to attach. I'm simply going to slide the little jump ring into it. And now this part of the pendant, like that. Close it up. So this is what you want. As you can see, the large jump ring is horizontal or parallel to my mat, and I'm going to be attaching strands of this side of the jump ring. So now I need to attach the other side in the same way, making sure that I orient my jump rings correctly, and that's the challenging part. Let me put it down. I definitely want to get this right. So that's the orientation that I want. Let me open this one up. And if you don't get it right the first time, guys, don't panic. You just have to keep trying until you get it right. So let me pick this up carefully. I want this loop to be facing this way, like this. So I'm going to slide this little jump ring into the big one, like this, and now this loop. Let me double check. I think it looks right. Close up my large jump ring. And that's what we have so far. This part's actually very, very important that you get it right. Because if you don't, the pendant's not going to hang properly. So anyway, that's basically it. And I have a choice here. I can make a long necklace, 20 inches or so, Or I can make a choker style necklace, which depending on the size of your neck can be anywhere between 15 and 16 inches, I suppose. And of course you can always add an extended chain. And for the strands, I'm basically going to do the same thing that I did with this component. I'm going to slide it onto some 20 gauge wire and create a simple loop at each end. Let me just show you using one of these beautiful amethyst beads. I'm going to use these beads for the strands. And I haven't decided exactly what other beads I'm going to use, but I'm thinking about these agate beads, blue lace agate, and also these fire polished copper colored beads. I think these would look really nice with the rest of the beads. I'm also going to use these closed rings, the same ones that I used on the pendant. And like I said, you can use jump rings if you want to, if you don't have these. So once again, I have a piece of 20 gauge wire. I'm going to grab it 3/8 of an inch down, maybe a little bit less. Grab the end, form a loop. Make sure the loop is centered and closed, like that. Slide my bead on. Grab my wire, line up the bottom loop, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end, form another loop. Grab it with these pliers, grab the other one, line up the loops so they're facing the same direction. And now I'm going to slide on one of these rings. Close it up. And now I'm going to open up this one. And slide this jump ring into it. Let me just make sure I have the correct orientation. And close it up. So there's the beginning of one of the strands. I'm going to have rings in between each beaded component. And the reason I'm doing that is to space them out a little bit. Plus it ties in with the dangles as well. So I think the next beaded component will be one of these blue lace agate beads. And then after that, I'll attach one of these fire polished copper ones. And I'll just alternate. So amethyst, blue lace agate, fire polished copper, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's what I'm thinking right now, but I could change my mind. I'm just going to create the strands until I get the length that I want. It's the same step over and over. You create a beaded component with simple loops and attach a ring, and then move on to the next one. So I'm not going to do it on camera because it'll make this video too long. Let me go ahead and do it off camera, and then I'll come back and show you what I did, and we'll attach the clasp. So I'll see you in a few moments. As you can see, I completed my strands. Each one measures about 7¼ inches. I ended up using 4 of the amethyst beads, 4 of the blue lace agate beads, and 3 of the fire polished copper colored beads. But of course, like I keep mentioning, depending on how long you want your strands, you might have a different number of beads for each strand. Another option is just to pick one color. For example, I could have just used the fire polished beads and that would have looked really nice, but it's up to you guys what you want to do. I encourage you to be creative, play around with the sequence of the colors. So as you can see, I did decide to make this one choker length, just for something different, but I am going to attach an extended chain to give me the option of wearing it longer if I want to. Here I have a lobster clasp, 2 6mm jump rings, and a piece of chain with large links. I just went into my stash and found some chain that would be appropriate for an extended chain. You can use pretty much any kind of chain as long as it has links that are relatively large. I would say anywhere between 5 and 6mm or larger. I do want to embellish it. So here I have a barrel bead, the same kind that I use for the dangles, on a ball head pin. I'm going to go ahead and grab it with my round nose pliers, bend it, reposition my pliers, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around and continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to go ahead and open up this loop, slide my chain into it, like so. Grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. And now I'm going to open up one of these jump rings. Slide the extended chain into it and slide one of the strands into it as well. Whoops. I accidentally dropped it. Let me try this again. There we go. Close up my jump ring. So now that's attached. Let me open up this one now. Slide my clasp into it and slide this strand into it as well. So there's my beautiful necklace. It's difficult to fit the whole thing on camera, but I think you get the idea. And I do want to model it for you, so I want you to please stick around for that. I'll do that after we get done with the earrings. Now, ideally, I would have wanted some kind of a focal bead that matches this one here. And the box did come with these 2 coin beads, but this is not the exact same blue, as you can see. And this purple is not really the exact same purple that you see there. So I decided not to use them, although they're absolutely gorgeous. I really do love them. Instead, I went with this one here, this beautiful lotus flower charm. And I did attach one of the Brios so it would tie in with the pendant. So here's another one, and here's a Brio and the beads that go at the top and an ear wire hook. I have a piece of 20 gauge wire. I'm going to go ahead and bend it at 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end, form a loop, like so. Slide on this bead here, the little one. Hopefully it'll fit. It is a little bit tight, and this one does have holes that are smaller than the other ones. So let me grab a different one. I ran into this issue earlier. Let me see if this one will fit. This one fits just fine. And now the amethyst bead. I'm going to grab the wire with my pliers, leaving a little gap at the top so I can create the bend. And bend it this way. Snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch or so. Grab the end and form a loop. Make sure it's closed and make sure that it's centered as well. And I do want them to be perpendicular, and I'll explain why in just a second. It looks like they are, but let me just make sure. The reason I want them perpendicular is because I want the earring to face a certain way. The lotus flower charm and the Brio, as you can see, it has to face forward. You don't want it facing sideways. Let me go ahead and attach the Brio now. I'm going to use 22 gauge wire for it, just like I did in the pendant. And I'm sliding it to the middle. I'm going to bend both of these pieces up so that they cross at the top of the bead. Like this. And now I'm going to bend this one up. I'm going to grab both pieces to the left of where they intersect. Grab this one, create a couple of wraps. Let me straighten out my wire. Cut off the excess. Tuck in that little end. Bend this piece back. Cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch or so. grab the wire and form a loop. I'm going to open up the loop now, slide my charm onto it, and I want to attach it to the bottom of this charm, like so. Let me close it. So now that little brio is attached. I really do love this lotus charm. It's really nice. And now I'm going to open up one of the loops of this component. Slide the charm into it like this and close up my loop. Now this charm is two-sided. As you can see, the back is textured and it's also concave. So when you attach your ear wire hook, you want to make sure you attach it correctly. Let me go ahead and open up this loop. So I want to actually attach it like this so that it's facing the right direction. And now let me close it. And there we go. A very, very cute earring. I think this is a very pretty set. I love all the different kinds of beads and I love these colors. I hope you like it as well, and I hope you can make your own. I'm going to go ahead and put these on for you and show you what they look like. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.